creating 360 degrees podcast for asynchronous learning using GarageBand. I'm Nurhayati Maskat. I'm an Apple teacher as well as an Apple Professional Learning Specialist, APLS. Let's begin with a definition of podcast. It is an audio recording of a lesson or story or interview. Not many popular podcast channels are found on academic subjects in Malaysia. Mostly are on entertainment. I have two samples here. I would like you to listen to both samples, and while listening, I would like you to pick out the elements found in the podcast. So let's listen to sample 1.
The story of a frog. Frogs are amphibians. They can be found near any rivers, ponds, or swamps, or any body of water except the sea and ocean. There are many types of frogs. Some are small, some are big. Some have dull skin color, while some are very colorful.
That's sample 1. Let's go to sample 2.
The story of a frog. Frogs are amphibians. They can be found near any rivers, ponds, or swamps, or any body of water except the sea and ocean. There are many types of frogs. Some are small, some are big. Some have dull skin color, while some are very colorful.
So those are the two samples, sample 1 and sample 2. Now let's look at what are the differences between sample 1 and sample 2. Now in sample 1, we can only hear the voice of the narrator, while in sample 2, we can hear several elements in the podcast. One is the voice of the narrator, the next one is background music, and the other one will be the sound of frogs croaking. So the first one is narration, the first element is narration, the second element is the background music, and the third element is the background sound. When you have all these three elements, this is what we call as 360 degrees podcast. Let me walk you through 4 simple steps which I use whenever I want to add any elements into the project in the GarageBand. Here are the 4 simple steps. Step 1. Once you open the GarageBand, search for audio recorder and then go to voice, which is at the bottom of the audio recorder. Next, search for lead vocals, tap on it and you will see a drop down list. Scroll to the bottom and find narrator. Tap on that and tap done. Next, go to the top right hand corner where you see the plus sign. Tap on the plus sign and you will see this drop down box. Now what you do is you tap on section A and it will open up to this particular drop down box and slide it to the right. The next thing is go to settings, tap on settings and go to metronome and count in, and you will see a drop down box. Go to no sound. So you need to tick on no sound. Now here's the text for podcast for this exercise. The story of a frog. So what you can do is you take your smartphone and take a photo of this so that you can read it later. Background sound. You can find the background sound in Apple Loop, in GarageBand. They do have some nature sounds or animal sounds in the Apple Loop. Or if you can't find any, the one that you want, then you can go to this website, soundbible.com, and choose the ones labeled Attribution 3.0. Let's look at what is Attribution 3.0. Okay, in Attribution 3.0, you are free to share, copy, and redistribute the material in any medium or format, adapt, remix, transform, and build up the material for any purpose, even commercially. The licensor cannot revoke this freedom as long as you follow the license terms. So that is attribution 3.0. The next element is background music, and you can find the background music from the upper loop in GarageBand. But if you can't find any here, you can import other music, so you can make your own music in GarageBand and then use it for the background music. So let's get started. Open GarageBand. Go to the top right hand corner where you can see the plus sign. Tap on the plus sign, find audio recorder, and go to voice. Now in voice, go to lead vocals. Here's the drop down list. Scroll all the way down to narrator. Click done. Next, go to the plus sign at the top right hand corner. Click on it and you will see section A, 8 bars. So we want to record longer than 8 bars. So tap on section A and slide automatic. Then next we go to settings. So this is settings over here. Okay, so here we go to metronome and count in. Tap on that. Here's the drop down list. Go to no sound and tap on that. We are set to go. Let me walk you through the elements found in GarageBand. So this blue triangle here is the metronome. The red button here is the recording button. And after you have completed your project, tap on it and it will save your project. The one next to it that looks like 3 squares is where you go back to the original tracks and you can find instruments that you want to add into your own track. And this one here that looks like bricks is the project track. The next one here is where you control the output. Okay, so we have the track volume, we have the compressor, and we have the master effects, whether you want to add echo or reverb. So those are the elements that you need to know in GarageBand. Let's add a narration to this. Let's go to our project track, and you can see that the project track is empty. That means you can start recording. Now to start recording, tap on the record button. You start recording after number 4. Have you ever wondered, where do frogs come from? Do they have mommy and daddy like you? Let's explore where frogs come from. Female frogs lay their eggs in a pond or under a large leaf. So once we have done the recording, we can go to the project track and see our narration. When you play this,
The story of a frog.
the next thing we're going to add will be the background music, which is the second element in a 360 degrees podcast. Go to the bottom and tap on the plus sign. So we are in audio recorder. Now go to voice and tap on voice. Go to lead vocals, narrator, then. So the other two, it is still the same. So we don't need to change them. Go back to the project track and there you have it. This is the space for you to add the background music. So go to next to the settings, you find the loop. So tap on the loop and you can see we have Apple loops, we have files, and we have music. The music is if you have installed music from the App Store. If you haven't, you only have 2, Apple loops and files only. For the Apple loops, you can see on the right hand side here, alphabets. These alphabets is where you can jump straight to the music that you want. For the second element, I want to find a music that has something to do with frogs, rain. Okay, so I will go and find R. So here are all the sounds that begins with the letter R. And we can find two here. One is raindrops beat and raindrops ping. Let's listen to raindrop beat. Now this is raindrops ping. Let's say I want the raindrops beat. So I just press and hold and drag. So I have the track. The other thing that you need to know about GarageBand is that there is a little lever here that you can actually push to the right. These are the volume level. So you can make it louder or slower. Now if you want to listen to only one track, let's say you just want to listen to the raindrop beat, what you do is go to the sound, tap on it, and you see that it goes gray. So that means this one will not be heard. You can only hear the raindrop beats. So let's try. Now the next thing that you want to add will be the third element. So tap on the plus sign, find audio recorder and voice, and tap on it. It's the same simple steps. Lead vocals, just go to narrator and done. Again, the other two, you just leave it be because they have not changed. Now go back to the track here, the project track, and you can see that there's a track for you to add the sound. Now once again, you can go to the loop to find the sound. Now if you can't find any here, then you can find from soundbible.com or any other websites where they give free sounds, free nature sounds or sounds that you want. Now as for this 360 degrees podcast project, it's on frogs. So I've already downloaded and saved in my files the sound of frog croaking. So here, I will do another short video on how to export and save sounds from websites into your file. So I have frog croaking. So now drag and drop. Okay, you can see that the file for the frog croaking is quite short. What we can do is double tap, copy. Now slide the slider to the end of this track and then tap and paste. Okay, so you can do this until the end of the track. So you have a continuous frog croaking sound. Remember that you have already muted the narration, so you can unmute it, and then let's see how everything sounds like.
The story of a frog. Frogs are amphibians. They can be found near any rivers.
What you have already compiled are the three elements, and it's as though you are narrating about frogs next to a pond where the frogs are actually croaking. So this is a 360 degrees podcast. You may add more elements to it. For example, if you want to add thunder sound and rain sound, you can add more background sound that is still considered as the third element. So let me show you. And I want to add thunder and rain sound, and I have saved it in the file, so I'll just go and find it here. Lightning, okay, thunderbolt, okay, just drag and drop. Let's listen to
The story of a frog. Frogs are amphibians. They can be found near any rivers.
Okay, so you can actually hear the thunder at the background. So you can actually imagine while listening to this that the narrator is wearing a raincoat and narrating next to a pond where the frogs are, and the frogs are croaking, and it's raining. So this is a 360 degrees podcast. Next, we need to save this track. We need to save this project. Go to the furthest left icon and tap on that. And there you have it. My Song 7 is actually your final project. Tap on My Song 7 and you can rename this Frogs in the Wild, for example. Then, now let's save this file, this podcast, into, let's say, your Dropbox or Box or Google Drive. If you want to have a certain designated place for your podcast, then you can opt for websites where they actually keep all your podcasts and you have to pay them monthly or annually. Okay, to save this file and export it out, press on the file itself and you can see this drop down box. Go down to the bottom and you see the word share. Tap on that, choose song and share. Please choose open in and they will be exporting your song. Now the next thing is that you can choose to save to files or you can choose to save to Dropbox. Now the difference between saving to files is that there will be no links for you to copy paste. But if you save to Dropbox or any other cloud platforms, then you are able to copy the link. So I will be saving to the Dropbox, and I already have a folder in my Dropbox called podcast, and I just click save. Okay, saved. Right, the next thing is that I'll go to my Dropbox. This is Frogs in the Wild, the podcast that I did just now. And let's listen.
The story of a frog. Frogs are amphibians. They can be found near any rivers, ponds, or swamps, or any body of...
So you can hear the thunder and rain at the background. You can also hear the frogs croaking at the background, and you can hear background music at the background as well. So this is the 360 degrees podcast. Here are some suggestions for teaching and learning podcasts. This cuts across all disciplines. So the first one is that you can have an interview of prominent scientists, of prominent politicians, or prominent NGO figures, any prominent figures. The next one will be explaining about a concept. Now sometimes our students do not understand a simple concept. So what you do is you can just create a podcast and send it to them. A philosophy of science or philosophy of maths. Each subject, each discipline has their own philosophy. Explaining about philosophy in a podcast, you can add the other elements to make it more interesting, to make it more engaging. Solving problems, how do you solve a certain problem? So you can podcast how to solve that problem as well. For language learning, learning new languages, listen to that particular language. They are able to master the language well. It helps especially young children. It also helps new learners of a certain language. The next one is historical events. Now in historical events, it's not only for sejarah or history, but it could also be for sciences and mathematics, engineering, you name it. Because each discipline has its own history. Why not bring the historical event as part of your classroom activity? The next thing is explaining about current world issues such as COVID-19 and how it impacts on the lives of people, the economy of the country, and also how the health ministry of each country are or not able to cope with the so many infections, and what we as human race learn from COVID-19. The next one is religious events. Okay, for religious events in Islamic studies, you have so many religious events that you can do a podcast on and bring in the Middle East songs or background sound. Make it interesting. So when students listen to your podcast, they can understand and they can remember each event. Okay, next is education trends or technology. So you can be a podcaster and also someone who is an authority in educational technology, how you use it, what you use it for, and so on and so forth. That's all from me. Thank you. Till we meet again. Goodbye.